Air is very bad. Oh, no, they had fires up in Malibu, which is close to where
Yes, I
we,
read about the Malibu fires. How's that?
it makes the air bad. You know, the fires are dying down, but thousands of people got evacuated from their homes. So
Yes, yes,
it's sad, but it happens a lot up there. They have so much brush,
yes.
luckily this one was near the ocean, so it didn't have as far to go, when it tried to
Hmm.
spread fire.
Hmm. Wow, that's actually scary. I've, well, Gavin and I have lived through wildfires.
Really?
We
Oh,
literally have the mountains in our backyard. So we lived through the mountains on fire. The entire
oh my,
mountain range, the entire Otaniqua mountain range was on fire. The garden route was affected right down to Neisner, and then it came up to the mountains. It was very scary,
oh
very,
my
very
goodness.
scary.
It was close to where you were?
Very close. In fact,
Wow.
our city was considering evacuating the residents, but we have our first responders are fantastic because they worked day and night,
Yeah.
and we never thought we never thought we would stay in the houses and everything was going to be, become normal again. We never thought that because that's how scary it was.
Yeah,
And
I
and I think we
can't
lost a few.
imagine. I would be terrified. I would, I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, it's amazing work, but we did lose, I think, about two firefighters. And in Neisner, at that stage, a whole family perished. They were on a farm and it was too late to leave.
Oh my God. I know there's always these stories. You know what I thought was really distressing too. There's a big
Mhm,
university that's right in the middle of all that,
mhm,
Pepperdine
mhm.
University, and
Yes.
because of the fire situation, they created fireproof buildings. So at a certain point, because to get to Malibu, there's only one small road. So when there's a fire, people can't get in and out very well. So that's why they made those buildings. But I was reading about, I was feeling so bad for these students because
Mhm.
imagine being in, but they could leave up to a point, but then after that, they couldn't leave because it was too dangerous. So they had to stay in these buildings and watch the fire right outside the window there and
Mhm.
watch the trees burning. I mean, that must have been awfully scary.
Yeah, it's scary, and also it becomes very hot.
Yeah,
It becomes the temperature rises, and oh, it's just terrible, scary.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
now with climate change and global warming, wow, the weather's changing terribly.
I
Summers are
know.
really
I
hot.
know. It's scary. It's really scary. I mean, I hate to even think what it would might be like 50 years from now. I mean,
Oh my word, Georgia, I can't even imagine. I
really.
can't even imagine. Yeah.
I
But
mean,
anyway,
unless they get some, I mean, and then when we end up electing these terrible leaders who deny climate change. I mean,
mhm.
we're like one of the most influential, richest countries, and we should be leading the pack. And to have somebody like Trump in office again is distressing.
Well, Georgia, I leave that fight to you. We'll talk
Okay,
about
I don't want to talk about him anyway.
yeah,
I always
anyway.
say I don't want to talk about him. I don't want to hear about him. So I don't know
Yeah,
why I'm
yeah,
bringing him up.
yeah.
But
So
anyway,
tell
let's
me,
just leave him.
how are you and Gerald doing? How are you spending the holidays?
We're gonna mostly not doing too much this holiday, but staying
Mhm,
around here. Maybe take a little ride down the opposite direction from Malibu and to one of
mhm,
the dog beaches, and because I've been very busy this month
mhm.
with my writing and my putting together my projects to present. So I'm just trying to be disciplined about and I haven't done too much socializing because
Yeah.
I have a big meeting coming up in January with a
Oh, that's
guy.
fantastic.
Well, we'll see. I mean, he's going to evaluate my scripts. I have now three award-winning three screenplays, and he's
Mm-hmm.
going to look at my promotional material and so on. And if he thinks I'm ready, or he might give me some feedback of things to do, um, hopefully he'll introduce me to some managers, producers, or whoever he thinks is good, for me. So
Beautiful,
we'll
Georgia. That's exciting news. I'm
It's
very thrilled for you.
exciting, but it's like, so that's why I'm like
No,
really
you just
trying to
go
be
for it.
disciplined about working every day on
Yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah. And you've come so far. You've come so far. I really admire your tenacity
Oh, thank you.
in
Yeah,
this
well,
industry
it's
and in
what
the
I want
art
to do,
world. Yeah.
yeah. It was, I started the charity last year, just a
Yeah.
year ago.
How's that going?
Well, that actually is motivating me to push,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I had two lovely fundraisers last year, and they were both successful in many ways. Lots of people came, everybody was happy. The first one, we had great music, and a lot of people were first introduced to the charity Elephant Matriarch Project. And then the second one, we had at a beautiful house that somebody let us use, and I was able to find a few Kenyan singers and dancers who came to the party, and
Oh,
we
that's fantastic, Georgia.
and we had a call, a Zoom call with my partners in Kenya. So they were
Yeah.
able to meet them and the audience and all that. So it was lovely, but I'm not a fundraiser, Michelle. It was a lot of work,
Oh,
and I didn't raise enough money that I needed to really get something started,
oh.
like a
So,
building. So
but look, these things don't happen overnight. You you really have to, keep going at it. It's not something that's going to happen overnight.
I
And
understand,
yeah,
but
some make and some don't. Yeah.
that's why I realized I'm not, that's not who I am. I mean, it's like
Mm,
some people are really good at that, like, let's
mm,
do a party, I'll organize it, let's do this and
mm.
that. And
You're
I
a creative, a
hires
writer.
me, hires me. But what I do love to do is write. And that when I can write and write and write, and it doesn't tire me, I enjoy it. So I
Yeah.
figure I'm going to really push my projects and try to sell something. And if I sell something, I'm going to give a large donation to the charity, like I'm going to get
Uh-huh.
it going. So that's what I'm really hoping and praying for.
Oh, I hope it all comes together. I really do. And
Thanks.
well, you've got so much going on. Well, let's just welcome the Facebook audience. If there's anybody watching right now,
Okay.
welcome to Facebook. Thank you for coming onto this live stream uh, to listen to or to watch my conversation with my very dear friend, Georgia Umano, who is an award winning author and an award winning screenwriter as well. And Georgia has an acting background. She studied at New York University and she studied screenwriting at UCLA. And she's a Californian. She lives in beautiful Santa Monica, Los Angeles. And she's been to Kenya. She's lived in Kenya. So she's well versed with Africa and she loves Africa and all of her people. And she loves the animals. And Georgia's an animal activist. She is especially involved with the Elephant Matriarch Project. And she has also started her own charity, her own NPO. And Georgia is just a beautiful person. She has two lovely dogs, Roxy and Romeo, and she's married to Gerald Everett Jones, who is also a screenwriter and an author. He's also an award-winning author. So they're very creative and a very accomplished couple living in beautiful Santa Monica, where I'm very fortunate to have visited. I love Santa Monica. I have some special memories of
Oh, excellent.
visiting that part of Los Angeles. And I promise, Georgia, next visit's for you. so, so
Hey.
therefore, we have come here today. Actually, today is about celebrating you because you had such a breakthrough in Italy. And that's what we will talk about that as well tonight. And so thank you to everyone who's on the live stream, and thank you, Georgia, for coming on board. And welcome to the People of Purpose Talk Show. You are always welcome here. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you. Thank you, Michelle, for that lovely introduction. That was very kind. And thanks for inviting me on your show again. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So let's get into it. I can't wait to ask you about what's been going on and what you've been getting up to. And you're looking refreshed and beautiful. And I know you're enjoying the holidays in Los Angeles. So let's start with your book, Terriers in the Jungle. We have a good history of the book. I own the book. I'm very proud to say that you sent me my own copy from Los Angeles. You sent one here to South Africa. And well, it's one of the loveliest books I've read, telling the stories of animals, dogs, through the dogs, Roxy and Romeo. They're the narrators of your story. So,
Mm.
how has your personal connection to animals influenced the way you approach storytelling in Terriers of the Jungle, Georgia?
Well, to me, animals, and especially dogs and elephants, from my own personal experience, um, have been very influential in my life and very much agents of change and awareness for me as a person, and being able to get to know them and feel them as a personality. um, it has enriched my life and awakened something in me, that realizing that they deserve love. They deserve a lot of respect and honor on this world, in this world, and they don't often get it. If you look at the situation worldwide of animals, it's not very good, in general. So I would like to express my experience with animals, which has been so uplifting and so spiritual and worthwhile, that I want to help waken other people to this also.
That's wonderful, Georgia. That's really beautiful. And I can see that you are doing that already with your work with the Elephant Matriarch Project. You've done some great work there, and your passion for elephants and for dogs. I mean, it's unusual because you have a strong sense of how to love wildlife. And I see how you bring that into your love and care for the domestic animals in your life. And well, what's interesting about Roxy and Romeo, well, the book does share some of that, is that these are rescue dogs, and you have taken it to the next level. Your love and your care, and just the condition of the animals when they came to you. And I think that level of awareness, we need that in our world. Because I think loving animals helps people to love humans in a more meaningful way as well. So, what challenges did you face when weaving uh, environmental or wildlife conservation themes into your storytelling?
Well, it was just natural because it was based on my own life and experiences. And that's, I'm very close with my dogs. So I feel that I know what they're thinking and feeling, and I saw them transform in Africa. And I saw their reactions when they met wildlife, and and it was lovely, and it was a good chance to express a lot about animal feelings and behaviors. So it was just sort of fell into place.
And how are they? How are Roxy and Romeo
Oh,
doing?
they're great. They're right here in the living room resting with me. Now,
Oh, they're all around you.
Roxy is getting old. She's 15.
She's
So she
15.
15, yeah. And
Oh,
she doesn't see as well and she's doesn't hear as well. So you have to make accommodations. In fact, we have a
oh.
lot of steps in our house. And this happened to me with my
Mhm,
um pet Marcello. When they get older, some of them, their pads on their feet, they get kind of smooth and they get more
mm,
hair. So it's slippery for them on the steps.
mhm.
So we're about to get some reinforcements on our steps so she doesn't, because she slipped a
Just to
couple
help
times when
them.
she was going up and down. So it'll just help
Um,
her to feel the tread, you know.
wow, that's beautiful. And that's really special that you're doing that for them, your little children, your fur children.
Well, I must say one thing, here in Los Angeles, I mean, I'm very fortunate to have encountered a large group of animal lovers
Hmm.
and vegans, and they're very active. And there's a lot
Hmm.
of animal activism that happens here and a lot
Yes.
of protection and saving of animals. Although
Hmm.
there's so many more that need saving, there's always more. And so
Hmm.
as far as dogs, we really recommend that people don't buy a pedigree dog, that they get the dogs that need rescuing
A rescue dog.
because they keep coming up with even new breeds of dogs. And then
Mm,
everybody wants that breed and it's very
mm,
popular. And then the dogs that are need rescuing get left behind. And then
mm,
after a certain amount of time, those dogs aren't quite as popular. And then you see them in the shelters too.
mm,
So it's
mhm.
very, it's not a good cycle, you know.
It's not. And didn't Romeo enter you entered Romeo into some competition? How did he do?
Oh, they both were winners. Roxy, when we were
Oh,
in
they both winners.
Africa,
Oh, wonderful.
they had a little dog show in Kenya, and Roxy won first prize for the loveliest lady, they called it. And
Oh,
then
my.
Romeo, actually, his best prize was back here when we came home.
Yes,
Um, he was picked for this Great American Dog Show on ABC TV,
yes, I
and
remember
he
that.
was a finalist for
Hmm.
talking, and that was based on videos I sent them, and because he likes to express himself with talking, so but you can't make him talk. That's the thing. So I had videos of him talking, but it turns out most dogs who talk, who make a lot of sounds, they don't necessarily do it when you want them to do it. So
Oh,
they
yeah,
had
sure. They have
we
their
were on
times.
TV. They had a group of finalists, talking dogs. Almost none of them would talk, so they had to show the videos. But the one who won, would have been hard to beat. It was this little dog, and she came right up to her owner, and the owner said, "I love you," and the dog said, "I love you." So,
Oh, my word. Oh, my word. What breed was she?
oh, I don't know. I think she was a little mixed breed, like a
Oh,
little bit
my,
like Roxy, just.
wow. So they can't speak. Dogs can't speak. That's interesting. So, Georgia, how do you hope Terriers in the Jungle influences readers, particularly when it comes to their perspectives on animals and nature?
Well, I just hope that people become more aware of that they do have thoughts and feelings, that
Mhm.
they're just like us in many ways, and that we're all one basically, and that they have great personalities. So they all have their own proclivities. So I don't know. I think anybody who has a dog knows that pretty much if they're a
Yes.
dog lover. But a lot of people don't know that, or people
Mhm.
haven't had the opportunity to be around dogs even when they were growing up or other animals. And there's a lot of fear for some people, or so just trying to show the dogs from the inside out.
Well, we're going to get into the storytelling for the movie just now,
Okay,
but
sure.
you can, I just love you to share some of your experiences when you traveled to Kenya with them. from Los Angeles to Kenya, just some of that experience of what it's like to travel with your pets, your dogs, from the US to Africa.
Okay, it's not easy. It's, well, for me, it was relatively not that hard because I was very prepared, and I had trained my dogs and made them service dogs. So they're very connected to me and my feelings and my talking to them. So, but it's strenuous for them because it's such a long trip. And what we did is because we're starting from California, we stopped in a couple places. We stopped in New York. I have friends in New York, so we stayed there for a few days with the dogs. They got a chance to, settled back down and from the plane ride. Then we got on the next plane to Amsterdam,
Mhm.
and we had a few hours there that I was able to take them out and run around in a park at least, and then also I discovered that if you, in some countries in Africa and I guess elsewhere, if you bring in a dog, they make you quarantine them. And that's
Mhm.
what they did in Kenya at that time. So we flew into Tanzania because it was easier for the dogs. And then we
Mhm.
drove into Kenya. So, you have to think about your dogs all the way, how they're feeling, what their needs are, and they have to be up for it. So I was fortunate to have these beautiful dogs who like to go places.
Yeah,
And then once
that's
we're there,
amazing. And they adapted well when you landed in Kenya.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, it was all new to them, but we were fortunate. Most of the time we stayed in Diani Beach, which was
Mhm.
like a block from the beach, and they love the beach. So, and it was nice and warm. So we went on the beach every day, and they got to, play in the sand, and Roxy learned how to swim. And it was lovely. It was just lovely. And then they met animals, and that was exciting. Like the
Mhm.
first animal first they saw monkeys. That, wow, they went crazy. Just like we stayed in one little place and they had a big yard and there were all these monkeys, and the dogs were like chasing the monkeys, and the monkeys were laughing at the dogs, and it was very cute. And then when we went on the beach, there was a guy with a camel,
A
and
camel, yes.
a
I've heard of
camel, because they
camels.
gave rides to
Yes,
tourists, which
yes.
fortunately there weren't too many that did that, because I would have felt bad for the camel. But the camels got walked on the beach. So Roxy was just running along, and the camel was lying there, and she bumped right into him. It was like this big
Oh,
wall in front of her. And he had his head right on her. But he was okay. And then so they had a lot of really cool. And then when we met the elephant, that was
mhm.
exciting too. And we stayed in a lodge, and there was a wildlife area, and there was a water hole right next to the patio. So a big elephant came over, and they had a real encounter, and it was exciting. It made everything more exciting for me even than it was already.
Beautiful. Now, you bringing that experience, your actual experience, well, you brought that into the book that you've written, Terriers
Okay.
in the
I
Jungle.
tried to.
You tried to. Well, I've read the book, and well, it's a pretty good explanation what actually happened because I've heard Jill's version and I've heard your version, and the book gives a good idea of what you both said it was like. And for the animals, well, this is all about Roxy and Romeo's adventures in Africa. So
The book
now
is,
that
not
you
the film.
you sorry, Georgia.
I said the book is about that, but not the screenplay. I mean, it's about it in a different way.
Well, that's what I want to talk about. The screenplay started out with the Terriers in the Jungle story. Are you keeping that name?
Yes, if they let me, yeah. I mean, it's I hope to keep as much as I can. You never
Okay.
know, because a movie is a very collaborative effort. And, the big deal, I mean, first of all, you got to get people who really like it enough to invest money in it, and then people who like it enough to be able to help direct it and all kind of things. So
Mhm.
your things can change, and that's even what happened to me already. with my screenplay writing
Mm.
because my first screenplays were very similar to the book. And and they got noticed, I mean, my very first draft, I got accepted into the Beverly Hills Film Festival. And
Yes, yes.
then, after that, I got accepted into others, but I never won any big awards. I would just come
Mhm,
as quarterfinalist or something.
mhm,
And so I kept getting feedback from different people, and I got feedback from this big producer, and he said to me, you're not going to get it made with the talking dogs. It's going to be too much, too expensive if you want a real movie, not just a an animation,
mhm,
because, and I realize it's an expensive movie because I want to have real elephants in it. I want to have real wildlife. So it's got to be shot in Africa, but yet if you
mhm,
have talking, if you even to have a dog in it, you need to have a lot of a special dog and training and some
mhm.
CGI. And if you have two dogs plus they're talking, it's just really very, very expensive and not something that people are looking for at all. So um, he advised me he says, take out the talking. You have to take out the talking. You have to emphasize the woman's journey more. And you have to take out one of the dogs, only one dog. And I
Only
said,
one
well,
dog.
only one
Wow.
dog. But I said, well, can he still be a hero? He said, yes, he can still be a hero, but you must focus on the woman, what she's going through, her emotional life, step by step. And that's the focus, because that's how movies are thought about these days.
That's
Like
true.
there's a
Yeah.
protagonist, and you have to focus mostly on the protagonist.
Yeah,
So
sure.
anyway, that's what I did. And as soon as I did that, and I entered some more, I started getting finalist, finalist, so I knew I was onto something, so
Mhm.
um, that was leading up to my winner, you know. Um, so I'm very excited, and I keep refining it if I feel that things can be
Mhm.
improved. Um, but as of now, it's won, several finalists, and I was first place winner in Italy
In
in the
Italy.
Matera International Film
Matera.
Festival.
So
And
tell us about that, the Matera
yeah,
Film Festival
I'd
in
like to,
Southern
because some people say,
Italy.
oh, they never heard of that festival. So it turns out there's thousands of film festivals today. And also I entered that contest in South Africa, and they
Mhm,
said I was a nominee,
mhm,
which to them it meant a finalist, because they have some sort of obscure words like final, not finalist, but nominee, honorable mention. And sometimes honorable mention means you almost were the winner, or
mhm.
sometimes it means you didn't quite make it into the finalist group.
So
So
which film festival in South Africa was this?
it was the one in Durban. I can't remember the name of it. I entered so many.
Mhm.
Um, I'd have to look it up, honey. I don't
It's not
remember.
the Durban. It's definitely not the
No, it's
Durban.
a brand new. It just started.
Okay. Okay.
It was very nice. I mean, it sounded great. They had lots of
Mhm,
entries from all over the world,
mhm.
and I was an honorable mention. But anyway,
But you won Matera. You won.
Matera, it was
Yeah.
they only had one screenwriting award. It was a huge festival. I mean, people never heard of it here. And that's what they say. Some people say, oh, these festivals, it doesn't mean that much,
Mhm,
because if nobody ever heard of them, they don't know who the judges are. Okay, so maybe a lot of people haven't heard of this festival, but the judges, the head judge was an Academy Award winner. Nick Vallelongo, his film Green Door, he won 2 Academy Awards. He was the head of the jury. I had to pitch to him. And
wow.
so I feel very honored to be picked, And also, I guess they only had one award for the screenplay, but there was another person who they really liked her screenplay, especially because it was about Matera. So that made it very, they wanted to give her an award too. So then they ended up saying that I was the best environmental film.
Wow. Wonderful, Georgia. That's excellent for the cause.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's hardly any, that's the thing. I keep looking for other environmental films. There's plenty of them if you look for documentaries, but if you look for a screenplay, a feature film with a real story, I can't find them, I mean, I think there should be more. I think it would be really good for the
Mhm,
world to have
mhm,
more of these kind of stories that people can identify with on an emotional level, but they also show you why conservation is important.
mhm. Mhm.
That's what
And
mine
while we're
does.
on the topic of conservation, I just want to talk about some of the work you've been doing in Kenya, your humanitarian work with the young students who are also moms, the young mothers that you're taking care of by educating these young women. How far have they come and what's happened there? Would you like to share some of that with us?
Well, yeah, I could tell you my experience, but when I lived there, we moved there. My main goal was to find a way to help elephants.
Mhm,
And I couldn't get a job working for any of the conservationists or the organizations because there was that year they weren't giving out um, work permits to foreigners in
mhm,
conservation. That's what I was told by the government. But I was offered a job working with these young unwed mothers who were rescued. And I didn't know anything about that. But when I got to know them, I took the job after I couldn't find one working directly with elephants. And I was shocked to find out that these girls had never even seen an elephant. And they had never eaten in a restaurant. They had never seen an elephant. And they had all gotten pregnant in high school. There was no birth control. There's no help. They all quit school. Some of them were pushed out by their families. So I really came to love these girls, and I took them, and my time there I spent showing them their own country and taking them to see the wildlife and teaching them what I knew about it. And they got excited. And especially when I was telling them about how the mother elephant is the leader of the herd, the elephant, and the matriarch, and they will be matriarchs when they go back to their country, when they go back to their town. And so they like that. And so that's how I got the idea for making the charity Elephant Matriarch Project, because in this project is a conservation education center. And I hope this is my dream, okay? God, listen. um we want to make a beautiful building. I saw when I was in Kenya, I saw this beautiful school building that was made like an oval. It was just beautiful. Anyway, that's my goal, but we have to get started. We want to make a nice building in a rural area, which is right outside Savo Park, where we were donated 5 acres of land. And there's lots and lots of rural moms all over the place. And so these moms who've all quit high school, this is going to be a place where they can go and get tutoring and finish high school and get education and training in conservation, any kind of jobs that have to do with conservation and helping elephants. And it's going to give them a purpose of life, a job, and it's going to help the wildlife. And so that's what the charity is about. And if we could be successful in that, I could see more of them springing up in other areas because it's so needed. I was not aware of this problem of the young girls getting pregnant and having no opportunities in their life.
and you gave them opportunities by helping to educate them. Would you like to share a little about that?
Well, that's what I'm hoping to do in I mean, I just was teaching them while I was there, but
Mhm.
I want us to have an institution that does that. So we
Mhm.
don't have it yet. We're still raising money to get the building started.
But
But
you've already, I think our last, one of our conversations, you spoke about these two girls you put through college. Were there
right,
two of them?
yeah, two of them. One of them is a teacher. The other
Wow,
one I
Georgia.
yeah, she teaches and she has just able to keep her son on her own, and she's independent. So that's
Wow.
great. The other one,
And you
I've
did this for them from the United States. You sent the help from the US.
well, when I was there, I helped set it up with
Mm-hmm.
Hari Rama. He's one of my partners. He was one of the directors of this charity that was
Yeah.
helping girls. So he also has a ambition of starting our own place, which would be focused like this. And then my other friend Rosie, who I made friends with, she introduced me to Hari. She is the one whose grandfather donated the land. She got him to donate the land.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have another partner, Amos, who's a Maasai, and he lives on the other side of Kenya, but he was the head teacher at this fantastic school that I visited, and he's
So,
very
Georgia, have you contacted President Obama about the work you're doing in Kenya?
Obama. No, I wouldn't know how to contact him. It's
Oh,
it's
it's
not.
easy. I actually need to connect you with the Obama Foundation because I think your work is very in line with what they do around the world. And they'll be very interested in how you are helping to educate Kenyans using your art and just how you've set things up. And you sort of created this vehicle which you're driving from the US back to Africa, and you're doing great work, Georgia. You're doing phenomenal work, and I think more people should learn about what you're doing and how you're doing it. And especially the movie, it's not just a movie. I mean, this movie is it's incredible because we need more art like this that makes us think about how we're sharing our humanity. We need the kind of art that makes us responsible human beings, especially with all the threats we're facing as a human race, and also as the planet is facing all kinds of threats with weather patterns and everything that's happening around us. And in your case, it's elephants are highly endangered, and your program's just remarkable. It's next level. So
Yeah,
I will definitely connect you as soon as we're done with this call. I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. I will
I
make
didn't
sure
know we're
that
connected to them. There's actually a school right down the street from me, a few blocks away. It's an Obama school. Um, I don't know how. I think it's a middle school. I don't know. It says a Michelle and Barack Obama Foundation. It says it on the building, but it's a school.
well, you can write to them and tell them about the work you're doing. I think it'll just be phenomenal. They're very into conservation as well. And you were a docent at some point.
A docent for I'm sure, yeah, I was Children's Nature Institute. I used to be a children's docent. We would take kids from the other side of Los Angeles who had never even seen the ocean
Mhm.
and get buses to take them to the ocean, and then we would be docents and show them around the little areas and teach them things.
Beautiful, Georgia. You've done such amazing work, and I really want to see your movie up there on the big screen.
Thank
And I
you.
think, I
Me
think it's
too.
going to make such a difference, in terms of
Uh,
conservation. We
If
need
you
to.
know anybody who's interested in helping me make it, that's right. I'm looking now for partners, who can push it forward.
Well, we'll see what we can do for you, Georgia. I'm always trying to help where I can.
I know.
So with
You're
this,
great. We need you. You're helping you not just with me, but you talk to a lot of people who are doing good things and help promote them. And that is what helps spread the word and get it out there and make things more successful.
and we're
So I
just
congratulate
ordinary
you.
people. All of us are just ordinary people. We're not movie stars and celebrities and that. We're just
Right.
ordinary. We
Right.
we're just somebody who is somebody. We're real people. That's who we are, and we're just doing our purpose. And Well, my journey is to, I want to see the world better. I love the world. I love our planet. I love my fellow humans. I love what I do. I love the world that I live in. But I'm also sad. I'm deeply saddened by how many people are not seeing and appreciating and not even getting a chance to experience this world the way it should be. So, therefore, I've given my life to doing this because I believe if I make the right connection, then it seems to be working. And this platform seems to be doing that. Somehow, the world, my world, gets better for the other person, and it moves on like that. It doesn't always work out. Not everyone
Well,
who comes to the
yeah,
party is who they say they are. You know how that works.
sure.
But it's still coming together in a way that fascinates me. But it this is what brings me joy in my life. I'm into simple joys, sunsets, the ocean, simple things. And that's what brings me joy in life. And to see you push for this book and then push for the screenplay and now the movie. I want to see it there. It's not just your dream, it's become my dream too. So when I saw you
Oh,
at Matera receiving, when you share, I mean, you were sharing from Italy, from the United States to Italy. And then we were watching it here in Africa, in South Africa. And I was like, wow, I want Georgia to win. And I know I woke up in the middle of the night and I said to Gavin, oh my gosh, Georgia won. Said to Gavin, Georgia, and he was like, what are you saying? I'm like, Georgia won. I said, go
oh,
back to sleep.
that's
I'll
so
tell you
sweet.
again in the morning. Georgia won it because it brought me joy because I know how hard you worked at this. And then
Thank
you
you.
had to write and rewrite. And it's, we love our art, but we also suffer for it. And when we are blessed in this way, it brings us all joy. It brings
Thank
us
you,
all
Michelle.
joy.
It's
So,
very
Georgia,
sweet.
it's only, I believe, uh, after I've watched how much work you put into it. And I love it. I just love the whole Terriers in the Jungle story, the original story, the one you wrote, the book that you published. I love the book. And I want to donate your book to the George libraries. I've read it, and they have wonderful reading programs. And I just think the children will benefit because they also the children here are very interested in wildlife. So perhaps I could take your book and just start a little book reading at the library,
Oh,
and we could grow it a little bit more. And I'll keep you in the loop as to how it's going.
oh,
And
thank you.
that I think it would be great to share that story because children love stories like that. It just lights up
Hopefully,
their
I
face.
think they would, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
even thinking if if the movie gets made in the newer way that I wrote it,
Mhm.
I would love to make maybe even like a smaller, even animation with the dogs talking, you know, about
Oh, that'd be
about it.
lovely. That'd be
Because I
wonderful
think
for
that that's a good idea.
Netflix.
It's just
You could put
hard
it
to
out
get.
on Netflix or Amazon. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
With the dogs talking. Yeah.
Well, that's like they are in the book, I mean, a lot of people who've read the book, who like the book, when I
Mhm.
tell them the dogs can't talk oh, like, people, the people who like it really want to see it, that way. But the people who don't know anything about it,
Mhm.
you know,
And the
and
movie
it's
industry is different that way
in
because
the
they
movie
want
and
more.
but it's unfortunately, if I had $1 million, I could just go and make it the way I want it. But then, it takes a lot of people to make a movie and
You need a
to
backer. You need a good
and
backer.
to
I hope
and
somebody
to
watches
distribute
this
it.
and backs you. I hope somebody's watching this and they will back you. I hope that happens for you.
Thank
That
you.
would be
Well,
wonderful. You
I'm
need a good
hoping that's what it would take, finding the right person or people who really love it, but who
backer.
are have a stake in the industry and they can
Mm.
actually move it forward.
We will keep sharing this and the many talks you've done on the journey until somebody finds it. It's the internet, anybody can find it. That's why I love doing this. Anybody can find it and it can change your life. So let's hope somebody finds it because there's so many elements to it. And it's all, Georgia, it all comes from being a good human being. And you've also been a vegan for 20 years. You want to share a little about that?
Sure. Uh, when I became, well, I actually, 20 years ago, maybe a little longer, I contracted hepatitis C. I don't know how I got it, but it's a dangerous disease.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have, this was before they had it. Now they have vaccines, they have ways to treat it that are good. But when I got it, there was no way to treat it. And they wanted, but luckily I had a good doctor, and
Mm-hmm.
he said to me, "We don't have a way to treat this. I don't recommend." What the recommendation was, that they take a biopsy from your liver. He says, "I don't recommend you do that." He says,
Mm-hmm.
"I think you should try to find an alternative doctor of some sort who can help you." And I was lucky because I found that doctor. He was an herbalist, and he was with me for years, and I had to have my blood checked every month, and I had to see him, and he did muscle testing, and he would see what herbs I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And then while I was doing that, I started going down to, I had once had an experience when I lived in New York. I went to a new age health farm, and it was
Mm-hmm.
a place where people did juice fasting, and the juice fasting cleans out your body. And I remember how that made me feel. So when I got the hepatitis, I found a place like that in San Diego. So I started going down there regularly and doing the juice fasting, and it cleaned out my body, and it really, my numbers on my illness were way down. They were near the borderline. And I started feeling better and better. And mostly it was juice fasting and eating vegetables, raw vegetables. So I always remembered that. And then I started just going in that direction as far as being healthy. Later, um, well, that's a long story, but I don't have the hepatitis anymore. But I eventually did take the new
Love
treatment
it.
for it. So, but uh, I never forgot the juice fasting and the vegetables and the things I learned at these health farms. And I just want, and then when I became more and more involved with animals, I didn't want to have any animals killed for me to
Mm-hmm.
eat. And
Mm-hmm.
and also I didn't think it was healthy either. So I just kept pushing myself to go in that direction. And then I started 20 years, almost 20 years ago. And it was before they even had the word vegan. But today, luckily, it's a growing movement. And Los Angeles, I just saw a chart, is the third most vegan city in the world. So I know a lot more vegans now. I didn't know any. For years, I was the only one I knew who was like this. And poor Gerald, I kept trying to convert him, and it's really hard, for some people. But anyway,
Is Gerald a vegan?
no. But
Okay,
he tries, and he's
he tries.
mostly vegetarian, almost all vegetarian, but
Mm-hmm.
and even he'll eat vegan cheese at home, and,
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But when he goes out to a restaurant, the choices are more limited. So
Mm-hmm.
he ends up eating cheese or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody has their own journey with it. And it takes people different things to get there. So.
It's a cleaner diet and a lot of
Well, the
sports.
good thing is, you're not harming if you can really look behind the screen and see what happens,
Mm-hmm.
what does it take to get that piece of cheese or that egg or that piece of meat? If you can go back really and visualize that, and there's a lot of good movies now. By the way, I wanted to give a shout out to Jane Unchained TV. Jane Unchained. Uh,
Jane Unchained TV.
Jane Unchained. She's a vegan network, and she displays for free a lot of wonderful features about veganism and different parts of
Jane Unchained
animals.
TV.
Jane
Okay.
Unchained. It's completely free, and
Mm-hmm.
it's growing like crazy.
Wow.
And I know Jane, and she actually interviewed, not she, but one of her people interviewed me twice about the book also, and also about my fundraiser.
Mm-hmm.
So she's, I recommend people check that out. And you can
Mm-hmm.
get, she has an app. You can just get it on your
Oh,
computer,
lovely.
free, completely
What
free.
we will do for Jane Unchained TV, we will tag. I'm sure she's on Facebook. We'll tag her on the show.
Yes, yes. And I'll tell her too to watch it, and maybe you'll even interview her. She's a
Yes,
pretty
I would love
amazing
to.
person. Yeah,
I would love to interview her. That would be wonderful.
yeah.
So, Georgia, what's next for Georgia Umano? You've done so much. We met
I'm
during
still in
COVID.
process. I want to get these movies made. I mean, now that I'm really pushing this, and then I I had a couple of screenplays I wrote in the past, but I
Mhm,
didn't know how to pursue it. But now that I've gone this far, I just said, let me look at these other screenplays. I had three. Two of
mhm,
them I think are good for today. One of them is about a girl who and a space alien. It's a sci-fi, and she
oh,
saves the
wow.
world. And one of them is about that's called The Girl Who Saved Washington. And then
Mhm,
I have another one called Too Old to Roller Skate, and it's about a woman who has to work with these really old senior citizens to help
mhm,
them raise some money. She's a
mhm,
theater director, so she has this. She committed like a traffic infraction, so they make her do community service with these old people, and she doesn't want to do it, but
mhm,
she meets this old man, and some of them were Holocaust survivors, and
mhm.
they end up changing, completely changing. Anyway, I think that
Wow, it
those
sounds
two
very interesting. You've been busy. You've been very busy.
screenplays have just, both of those two have just
Mhm.
become finalists also. So
Oh,
um,
really? You've
that's
submitted
why
already?
I'm trying to get a portfolio now for my
Mhm.
stuff.
So, have you heard of the 48-hour film festival or film project, the 48-hour film project?
Mm-mm.
I'm going to link you up with the producer. She's in Durban. Well, she's the person I know in South Africa who's the 48-hour film project producer. They have one in every city in the world wherever they have a presence. This is the actual project. And so I had a whole cast of actors who made a 48-hour movie in Durban called Flower. This is Flour. And the producer was there. I'd love to network the two of you, see what you can come up with. Because
Sure.
she's in the movie industry, and you always talk about bringing your movie to SA. Well, I dream about you having the movie here, so you never know.
So sweet. Well, that's what it takes. It just takes the energy to rise up until people set you get the right combination or person who has the ability to actually move it to another level.
Have you ever been to South Africa? Not
I've
yet.
never been. I'd love to visit Cape Town. It just I keep hearing how beautiful it is, and
We have
you know,
Durban, we have Cape Town, we have Knysna, Plettenberg Bay, we have the garden, the whole of the garden route where I live, George. Then, oh, and I've got to take you to Herald's Bay someday. It's like the most beautiful beach on the planet. To me, that's to me. So I'd love to share that with you someday,
I'd love
Georgia.
to. Love to.
Georgia,
Yeah.
it's really wonderful chatting with you.
You too. Thank you so much for having me and for letting me talk about my stuff.
Oh, you're welcome anytime, and we will catch up with you again next year. And I'm sure when we catch up with you, well, we're going into a new year, new dreams, new possibilities, and new miracles. Let's hope for new miracles, and let's see what happens.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
we will. We will.
But
And
love
it is.
you lots, and my
Love you
very best
too.
wishes to Gerald. And I
Thank
hope
you.
you both have a really awesome
You
Christmas.
too. You too. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Georgia.
Thank you.
And take care. God bless. Bye
Bye bye.
bye.